What's up, you guys? It's Ron here with the latest news on your $2,000 fourth stimulus check update and recurring stimulus check update. There is a tax overhaul that the Democrats are pushing that could actually raise enough money for two $1,400 stimulus checks. Yes, you heard that right, two stimulus checks. Now, on the flip side, business groups and lobbyists increasingly are optimistic that they can actually water down the tax hikes and other plans proposed by the Democrats in their $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. But just how are they going to do this? Pfizer director Dr. Scott Gottlieb has apparently said that for kids from 5 to 11 could come by winter. So if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as I release new videos and updates. And let's go ahead and jump in. Now, if you compared your prices of your groceries and your daily necessities to prices last year, you would notice that they are drastically different. Even the prices of some services have also increased. Your rent might actually be up for an increase soon. Do you guys know why? It's all because of inflation. Many economists are actually speculating that a financial reset will happen, and the likelihood of a financial reset or potential collapse increases as an excessive currency printing goes on. As inflation rises, prices of everyday goods, food, services, and others also rise. The daily budget that you're setting aside today may not be enough in the coming months, as prices could continue to skyrocket almost to double their prices today. That's the truth behind inflation and what may be soon to come. So what can we do to prepare for this and ensure that, the financial security for our families is there and to avoid the devastating impact of a financial collapse? The key here is not to work harder, but to invest smarter. Now, lately I've been researching gold as an investment to protect myself and my family against inflation and the possibility of really expensive prices to come. Now, of course, you guys should always consult a licensed professional advisor before making any financial decisions, and this is definitely not financial advice. Now, if you're curious about how I'm preparing for any kind of potential financial collapse and the inflation during this time, you should definitely get your free copy of the special report on how to prepare yourself in the event of a financial collapse. A team of millionaires came together to share their plans, and it explains exactly why billionaires are doing what they're doing right now to avoid a financial collapse. What do these billionaires know that we don't know yet? Get your free copy in the link in the description down below right after you watch this video, or you can go to bigeconomicalerts.com/reset. All right, first up, here's your daily news update on your $3.5 trillion stimulus bill, which the House just recently voted to advance. They're currently drafting legislation for this, and you'll want to hear this as it is related to stimulus checks. This is a tax overhaul that the Democrats are pushing that could actually raise enough money for two $1,400 stimulus checks. You heard that right, two stimulus checks. Now let's learn more about the details here. It says here that before Democrats pass the package with likely unanimous GOP opposition, they're facing some internal disagreements over how to fund it, like a collection of tax hikes on the wealthiest of Americans, investors, and large companies. President Biden proposed a 28% corporate tax rate, higher than the current 21% level. But moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin are already uneasy and say that they would prefer to see a 25% rate instead. Now, in the process, they partially roll back President Donald Trump's 2017 tax law. A part of that 2017 tax law includes how the government taxes US-based multinational firms depending on the location of the headquarters and where they earn their profit. Democrats want to overhaul this element to raise enough money to be able to pay for measures like President Joe Biden's child allowance, universal pre-K, and tuition-free community college, among other things. So the internal disagreements the Democrats are having right now are primarily due to the pay-fors of this bill. Now, one of the solutions to this is the proposal by President Joe Biden to implement tax hikes on large corporations, wealthy Americans, investors, and the like. Now, the issue here is that not everyone in the party actually supports this. Take Senator Joe Manchin, for example. He's always been the Democrat that always has his own reservations, with how the party handles these things, so we can expect that from him. But he also said that he doesn't support the $3.5 trillion price tag regarding this particular bill. No surprise there. And in fact, he does share the same opinion with Senator Kyrsten Sinema as well. Now, regarding the tax hikes, it does look like he's not on board with President Joe Biden's plan, and this will definitely make negotiations a little bit harder with the Democrats. Now, as it stands, Joe Manchin, he would be comfortable with a 25% corporate tax rate rather than President Joe Biden's 28%. So we'd have to shave off about 3 points for Joe Manchin to be on board on this one. Now, the reason why President Joe Biden's proposal is 28% is likely due to the numerous agendas that he wants to include in the stimulus bill. Now, some of these provisions include universal pre-K, free community college, more child tax credits, lower prices, and a lot more. That's not going to be a cheap agenda at all, and the proposed corporate tax rates would be one of the solutions that could actually make these stimulus provisions a reality. But let's continue. It says here that Kyle Pomerleau, a tax expert at the conservative-leaning American Enterprise Institute, told NBC News the tax change could raise $800 billion. That's enough money for the federal government to finance two $1,400 stimulus checks, similar to the ones that Americans received in the $1.9 trillion President Biden stimulus law during the Senators Ron Wyden of Oregon, Mark Warner of Virginia, and Sherrod Brown of Ohio are taking the lead. On Wednesday, the trio released a draft framework aimed at ending incentives for companies to move operations out of the United States and encourage more to expand domestically. Many firms have used them to cut the tax bill well below the official 21% rate. Now, if what this tax expert is saying is accurate, then the chances of seeing a fourth stimulus check just got a whole lot higher, and we might even get two. Now, they can only get this done if the Democrats are all, agreeing on raising taxes on corporations and on wealthy individuals. Now, with Senator Ron Wyden and others making early moves with their draft framework, maybe the Democrats can actually pull this off. Many people are fed up and saying that it's about time that these companies start paying their fair share of taxes instead of letting them get away with tax cuts and such. And I quote, "To flip the ship, we're ending incentives to ship jobs overseas and closing loopholes that allow companies to stash their profits in tax havens." Stash their profits in tax havens. That's a pretty creative but accurate way of putting it. The truth is that these massive companies have been making a huge profit while paying the least amount of taxes that they can get away with. I mean, I get it though. Now, of course, these corporations, they prioritize their profits. However, these senators and these Democrats are finally out to get them, and we might actually see a fourth stimulus check as a result. But what do you guys think about this one? If the Democrats successfully push their tax overhaul, then we could be actually getting another round of stimulus checks sooner than later. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Up next, let's move to the other side of the coin now. Business groups and lobbyists are increasingly optimistic that they can water down tax hikes and other plans proposed by the Democrats in their $3.5 trillion stimulus bill. Now, it does look like corporate America didn't like this news about the tax hikes from the Democrats. Let's look into this here. It says that their confidence was boosted last week by an agreement struck between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and 10 centrist House Democrats that ensures a September 27th vote on the bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure bill passed by the Senate early this month. By agreeing to a standalone vote, Nancy Pelosi softened her stance that both bills must be passed together, a priority for progressives in her caucus. Business groups see that as a huge win, believing that progressives will lose some leverage over components of the reconciliation package if the House passes the $1 trillion infrastructure bill first. Now, of course, it's no surprise that these businesses are very much so against the stimulus bill. I mean, they hate tax hikes. Who wants to pay more in bills, basically? But it's clever of them, though, to still see a silver lining in all of this. With the victory in the House by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the progressives, they're still hopeful that the progressives will not be able to get both bills done. I understand their perspective, though. If the House votes on the infrastructure bill first, then the support for many items in the stimulus bill will definitely go down. That's precisely the reason why House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the progressives are adamant on keeping both bills packaged together as one, but let's continue. It says here that U.S. corporations broadly support the bipartisan bill that would create new spending on roads, bridges, broadband, and water without raising taxes on businesses. But they oppose the tax hikes that would pay for the $3.5 trillion party line proposal, which would ramp up spending on childcare, education, and climate change mitigation. They went on to say that industry lobbyists are confident that they can chip away at the planned corporate tax increases and make significant changes to a Democrat proposal to overhaul international taxes on multinational corporations, arguing in both cases that such provisions would slow the U.S. economy or slow the U.S. recovery from the recession. And again, these corporations are very much against the proposed tax hikes. Like I said, Who wants to pay more bills? I don't see anybody raising their hands, right? And, even citing slow economic recovery as their reason. But there's some truth here, though. The economy will, in fact, take a lot of time to recover from the recession that was caused. Just try to buy anything right now. It's like everything is overpriced either because of inflation or due to lack of inventory. So it's kind of all messed up right now. And let's talk about this inflation for a minute. Remember what I said earlier about inflation and gold? Well, inflation is real, and the average American will be affected by this the most. So really, no one side's the clear winner of this particular topic, and that will definitely make negotiations for tax hikes in the stimulus bill a lot more difficult. Business interests have Democratic allies in Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and the group of House moderates led by Representative Josh Gottheimer all have expressed concerns about the size of the spending plan and potential tax hikes. Now, seeing these Democrats coming together and opposing the majority of their party, you would think that they're not really Democrats. Maybe they're Dinos or Dinos, I don't even know how you pronounce it, but basically it's Democrat in name only. I'm just kidding though. But as previously mentioned, Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have already expressed their disapproval with the $3.5 trillion price tag, and they've even said that they're not open to negotiations. So it sounds like either this price tag's coming down or it ain't happening. Or maybe they're just saying that. We'll have to wait and see. Passing bills like this require numerous discussions, so negotiations and compromises are inevitable. Representative Josh Gottheimer is well known as the leader of the group of moderates that recently caused a lot of noise in the House by insisting on voting on the infrastructure bill first before moving with the stimulus bill. It seems like they're all like-minded individuals, and this will be a challenging situation for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the other progressives to handle as they move this thing forward. But what do you guys think about this one? There have been numerous calls for tax hikes to be included in the bill, even from President Biden himself. However, business groups and lobbyists are making their best effort to fight these proposals, and they've even found some allies in the Senate and in the House. It's interesting to see both sides of the same coin from an outside perspective. But hit me up in the comments down below. Let's discuss this one. Last but not least, Pfizer director Dr. Scott Gottlieb has apparently said that for kids from 5 to 11 years old may come by winter. Parents, you'll be glad to hear about this one, but let's dive into it here. It says here that Dr. Scott Gottlieb told CNBC on Monday he expects the U.S. regulators to clear the Pfizer BioNTech for emergency use in children between the ages of 5 and 11 years old in late fall or early winter this year. The Pfizer board member said data from the company's trials for kids in that age group should be available in September and then submitted to the Food and Drug Administration that month. Now, this is coming from Pfizer Director Scott Gottlieb, so this could actually be an accurate prediction. As it stands now, it's still in clinical trials, so they can't speed up the process even if they wanted to. Even if they did that, a rush would likely cause more harm than good. The results will be available very soon, and we'll probably be seeing some updates in the coming weeks. It says here that the application probably isn't going to be submitted until some point in October, according to Gottlieb, who led the FDA from 2017 to 2019 during the Trump administration. He said if the FDA sticks to its normal timeline in terms of how it reviews the applications, you would expect that review to be 4 to 6 weeks for a potentially emergency use authorization. So that puts you on a timeline where you're late fall, early winter. Now, this puts the timeline at around December at the end of this year. That's around 3 months from now, and I'm not sure if that's fast or slow. However, this does set our minds on when to expect it for young kids. This is only an estimate by Dr. Scott Gottlieb, so the final date for this could be off by a month or so. It says here that young children having the ability to be is an important step in combating in the United States, particularly as kids return to school for fall. Last week, pediatric hospitalizations reached their highest level on record since U.S. health officials started recording them about a year ago. And while it poses lower risk to children than it does to older adults, say older than 65, for example, some studies suggest that kids who get infected can still pass on to other people. I feel like that's common sense. If someone's sick, they could easily pass it on. What cold is really not contagious, right? And of course, this is more than a cold. The truth is that kids are still one of the most vulnerable groups of people in our society. Now, with them returning back to school, it's absolutely no surprise that parents are very concerned about the arrival for their kids. On top of that, there's also news about school outbreaks coming out. Considering how fast the Delta variant spreads, is it really the best move to reopen schools right now? The timeline for kids is estimated to be around December, which is still pretty far off from today. But what do you guys think about this? Is making sure that your kids wear masks properly in school enough to guarantee their safety? Or would homeschooling be the best option right now? Maybe at least until January 2022? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Maybe you have grandkids. What are you guys thinking right now? So anyway, that's all for the news on your fourth stimulus check update, recurring stimulus check update, the tax overhaul on Democrats that could lead to 2 more stimulus checks, business groups and lobbyists opposing the tax hikes proposed by the Democrats and for kids, possibly by the winner. Also, if you're curious as to why I'm choosing gold as an important investment right now and how I'm preparing myself and my family against the coming potential financial collapse and inflation, be sure to get your free copy of the Special Financial Reset Report that was compiled by a team of millionaires that explains why billionaires are stockpiling this particular asset. What exactly do these billionaires know that we haven't figured out yet? Get your free copy using the link down below, or you can go to bigeconomicalerts.com/reset. What do you guys think though? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really hope that you guys appreciated everything we covered today. If you haven't already, do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're notified as soon as I release new videos and content. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. You guys on the next one. Take care. You guys